Happy Wednesday, everyone. We got a fun little chipper for you guys. It's not going to be a long one, but it's definitely going to pack a punch and have a moment there for you. Before we talk about that, let's talk about our work set today. Dynamic triangle, 3 to 5 a side. Single-legged morning with rotation, 3 to 5 per side. Single leg RDL, 3 a side. And a Sumo Squat, 3 to 5 at a 3-1-3 tempo. 2 to 3 rounds there just to kind of really wake up the lower half, because that lower half of the body is going to get working today. So let's have some fun with that and see where it takes us. From there, we're going to move down here. We're going to work on some skills with the Sumo Deadlift High Pull for 3 reps. Dumbbell Snatch for 2 to start working on that nice pull into the snatch. And then we'll repeat that on the opposite side. So we'll hit the Sumo, then the Snatch, flip sides, Sumo, Snatch. Continue on from there with a nice Renegade Row practice of 6 alternating reps and a standing lunge of 3 per side. So using this, because the workout again doesn't take very long, this will give you a really nice opportunity to work on some skills, build up a little bit of warm up and build up some weight for that snatch and just get you really prepped. So 2 to 3 rounds here, take that time to kind of work on those skills and really get prepped for today. Our workout today is just one time through, so you can really attack this workout and really hit these pieces pretty hard. So we have a 400-meter run, so nice hard sprint for that 400, into a Renegade Row of 20 alternating reps. So that is going to be a little slower pace, but again, you're just kind of working back and forth, hitting that 20 reps back and forth, breaking them down if you have to. In a perfect world, we would use the same dumbbell as the snatch later on, but if you need to have a lighter dumbbell for that Renegade Row, please do so, because that is a slightly more challenging position to get that good pull. So 2 different loads is fine. Once we're done our 20 Renegade Rows, we'll move into our dumbbell snatch for 20 alternating reps. This can be on the heavier side, but you should be able to take it down, I'd say no more than 2 sets. So, or one time right through, nice and alternating back and forth. So if you want to go heavier on the snatch, take that down, have some fun with it. But again, 2 sets max. Then you're going to finish off with a lunge of 50 alternating reps. And this can be a loaded lunge in any position, in the overhead, front rack, suitcase. It's a single dumbbell, all right? But you can use a loaded for that, or you can do unloaded for 50 reps, alternating total count to close out the day. So it's a nice little charge from start to finish, right to the end, finishing with those lunges. So it's gonna be a cool little workout. Attack it, have fun with it. But let's get you ready for it. All right, let's get those feet under those hips. Let's take those arms overhead, little shrug. We're gonna come down with the shoulders, reach to one side. Come back through to the other side, reaching all the way down to the floor. We'll touch those toes, and you're gonna lock up those shins. Come back down, frame the foot. We're gonna step it back into our lizard. We're gonna hold that strong position as we take that inside hand to the sky, bend at the elbow, then reach straight ahead in that overhead position. Pull back, and then reach straight ahead, and pull back, straight ahead, and pull back. Big reach up. Rotate, pulling that forearm down to the floor, taking it back up to the sky, and planting that hand down. We're going to step back into our down dog, reaching those hips, nice and tall. We'll come back into that plank, pressing through those arms. We'll step that other leg through. Inside hand's going to reach to the ceiling, bend at the elbow, reach, and then pull back, reach, and pull back, reach, and pull back, big stretch up, rotate, forearm on the floor, back up tall, and then plant that hand on the floor as we step back into that down dog. Reaching through those hips as we walk, those heels out, nice and smooth, nice and solid. As we come back into that plank, pressing through the floor, tiptoeing those feet up. Rolling ourselves up, big stretch. Reaching to one side, reaching to the other side, coming back down. Whew. Let's tackle this, let's rock it. All right, now, if you have any extra gentle kind of movements you'd like to slowly start moving your body with, maybe some scat push-ups, thread the needles, cat-cows, whatever you need to do, please take that time, take that down, work through it. We're going to start warming up that T-spine with a little bit of lower body hinging to get ourselves ready to go. All right, you guys, let's kickstart off our first work phase here with some sumo stance. We're gonna move into some dynamic triangle to get that T-spine and those hips ready. One toe is gonna point straight to the side. The other is gonna point on the angle, so we kick that heel out. We're gonna bring the hand to the thigh, and we're gonna reach high and up to the ceiling. Pulling the hip back, we're gonna reach to the ceiling, nice and open through that body, and we'll take it all the way back up. So again, with this movement, we're initiating through the hips to pull back into that heel, and that's what gets that body leaning. So we still create space through the midsection, and that still allows that arm to stay reaching up to the ceiling. So it really gives us space in the stretch through that body and opening up in those hips. So take your time there. If you'd like to load that a little bit, please do so, but keep it light overhead so that we're just using it as a chance to feel overhead position, not really stressing out that system. From there, we're gonna bring our feet nice and narrow so they're underneath of our hips. We're gonna bring one foot out in front, keeping that leg super straight. Knuckles are gonna come back together, and we're gonna draw the hips back and then rotate at that knee. So we're gonna stand nice and tall through that. So pulling the hip back into that hinge, and then rotating at that low rib, and coming back up nice and tall. So really taking advantage of that good morning hinge, and really starting to try and feel that sensation in that upper hamstring, lower glute, as we draw the hip back into that good hinge, flat back position, and then that really nice rotation through that lower rib. Take your time there, because balance is an issue on those ones. If you go too fast, you might end up falling over, but take your time, find that hammy. Right after we do both sides, we're gonna still tackle that hamstring, and we're gonna work on that single leg RDL to get a little bit of hinge work in there. So my hips are gonna be square, my feet are gonna be roughly hip width, but one foot's gonna come back into a kickstand. 99% of my loading is on this front leg, and I'm going to draw my hip back in that same hinge we just used, coming down to my knee, and then standing tall. So it's in the hip drawing back that the hands come down. This leg stays pretty stiff, just with that soft knee. And again, we're trying to find that sensation in that upper hamstring, lower glute. So if you can't feel it there and you're feeling it more down your calf, we need to make sure that that pelvis is nice and neutral, so we engage the hips a bit, so we pull that pelvis into a nice neutral position. Last but not least, we're going wide again. We're gonna take it back out to that sumo stance, and we're gonna work on some sumo squats. So profile position for you guys, nice and tall. I'm in my sumo position, nice and upright, fully open through the hips and knees. I'm gonna draw the hips to the heels, pushing those knees out just a little harder than I normally would in an air squat or front squat, goblet squat, just so those knees track the toes. So those feet stay flat, and I work through that nice, solid stance. Now, with this, there is a nice tempo, 3-1-3, so it gives you a chance to hold the bottom of the squat for a moment, and just gives you that chance to settle in and open up those hips just a bit. So it can embrace that, and if you want to pause a little longer than 1 second, pause a little longer. Make it a 3-3-3 squat instead of 3-1-3. Now, as a quick recap, we have 2 to 3 rounds, dynamic triangle of 3 to 5 per side, single leg good morning with rotation for 3 to 5 a side, single leg RDL for 3 a side, and a sumo squat for 3 to 5 at a 3-1-3 tempo. 2 to 3 rounds, we're gonna hit that hard, we're gonna rock that, get yourself ready to go and those hips open, and then we're gonna start working on some skills that we'll use later in the workout. So pause, hit it hard, come back and join me for what's to come. Okay, we're here. We're back with the dumbbell. We're gonna work on some dumbbell sumo deadlift high pulls. But first, I'm just gonna show you the deadlift. So the sumo deadlift, just if you'd like to add this into this complex, please be my guest. It's a great starting tool to start warming up that hinge that we're gonna need in both the snatch and the sumo deadlift high pull. So I'm gonna set my feet up over top of that dumbbell so it's cutting my foot in half. I'm gonna draw the hips back so I get that good hinge we practiced in my good mornings. And then I'm gonna take my hips and shoulders down towards the floor. Taking hold of that dumbbell, I'm just gonna push through those feet so my hips and shoulders rise together to get that nice hip and leg extension that I'm gonna need moving forward to build momentum into the dumbbell sumo deadlift high pull and the dumbbell snatch. So if you'd like, add in a few deadlifts. But from here, we get back to the same deadlift setup. So our hips are nice and low, chest is high, knees are slightly out. I'm gonna push those feet like I did in my deadlift, build some speed, and use the arm to continue and carry that momentum up towards the sternum. So facing the camera so you can see where that elbow and dumbbell goes, I hit the same deadlift starting point, push through the feet, build that speed, and guide that elbow back and up, which gets that dumbbell staying close to the body, but pulling into that kind of armpit sternum position. So we don't want the arm to do a lot of pulling here. It's just guiding and continuing the momentum of that dumbbell that we've given through from the legs. Now with the snatch, we continue that momentum and pull under the dumbbell. So I get set in that same position, push through the legs to gain speed, pull into that high pull, and then pull right through into that power squat landing. And then I come back down. So I hit my start position, big push, use the momentum, turn it over, land in that power position, and keep it close as I come down. And then I'll repeat on the opposite side. So with that dumbbell snatch, we're just building a little bit more pull, actively pulling into the bottom of the squat, and supporting that dumbbell hard overhead as we push into that dumbbell, pushing into the sky to support the shoulder as we support the load. Now once we finish that, we're gonna move into our Renegade Row. And the Renegade Row is gonna be alternating again. So I'm gonna take my single dumbbell, perhaps the same weight I used for my snatch, maybe lighter. I'm gonna position my hands over top of that dumbbell. So my dumbbell sits kind of mid-body at the sternum. I'm gonna take my feet a little wider, so they're in a straddle or squat stance. I'll shift my weight, take hold of the dumbbell, pull, back down. Shift, pull, back down. Shift, pull, back down. And what I'm doing there is I'm actively shifting my weight like a plank lean and pushing through that arm to maintain good control through the arm, through the shoulder as I take that hand away and row to my hip. Now, if you're not comfortable using load for the Renegade Row, you can get the same feel and the same movement factors in that straddle plank as I shift, pull my hand to my hip, hold for a couple seconds, come back down. Shift, pull to the hip, coming back down. So I'm using that same body path and that same movement, just empty-handed with no load, to practice building the strength and stability on that single arm as I pull my hand to the hip. So if you're not comfortable with the load, or if you'd like to warm up with that empty hand position instead of a load, please do so. Use that tool. It's a great option to start building comfort and kind of stability for that row. Now last but not least in this last phase of warm-up, it's going to be a standing lunge that you can start to substitute whatever style of lunge you're going to use in the workout with in your warm-up. But it's always nice to start off this way first. So I'm going to step into my squat stance. I'm going to step 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. So I have this nice, long, and slightly wide stance. I'm going to have soft knees and soft kind of balance, so I have pretty strong 50-50 weight between both feet and good balance forward, back, and side to side. From here, I'm going to stay upright, and I'm going to squeeze and set, lowering down, keeping this knee stacked over my heel, back knee, hip, shoulder, and then I rise back up. And the cool thing about this drill is this lunging isn't something you're strong with, where it's like, my balance. We can take it to the range you're comfortable with, or you can use something out to the side to stabilize you and to help you through that sticking point. So maybe it's a chair that's stable, maybe it's a countertop, maybe it's between the counter and an island, who knows? But if you need to use something to help balance you a little bit, stabilize you and get you through that sticking point, you can totally use that in that standing lunge position to get you fully standing. We have 3 per side there. You can load that, you can not load it, use stability tools, whatever you'd like to do. But it's a nice place to start warming up that lunge before we make it dynamic and or add load to it. So as a quick recap, we have a dumbbell sumo deadlift high pull for 3, dumbbell snatch for 2, repeat on the opposite side. If you'd like to add in the deadlift to that as well, you can. Then you have a Renegade Row for 6, alternating with load, without load, it's up to you. And then a standing lunge for 3 aside, substituting in the style of lunge you are going to use in the workout in the next couple rounds of warm-up. You can take that down anywhere from 2, 3 rounds, whatever you need to get yourself prepped and ready for the work set. Pause the video, take that down, get yourself ready to go. You got some cool stuff coming your way for this workout right away. So pause it, rock it, come join me for our final phase of warm-up. All right, everyone, we have the workout. One time through, we have a run of 400 meters. We have a Renegade Row of 20 alternating reps, loaded or unloaded, pulling to the hip with that empty hand. 20 alternating dumbbell snatches, all right, heavy or a little bit more moderate, depending on what you're comfortable with today. And remember, if we're going on the heavier side, you should still be able to do it in about 2 sets. From there, we finish with the lunge. We've talked about the standing lunge mechanics and our positioning, but what we can play with for our lunge today in this work set is, again, an empty-handed lunge forward or backwards, still kind of maintaining those same squat mechanics that we worked on in the standing lunge. If we're going to load this lunge, we can load it to the suitcase, all right, alternating back and forth, doing half reps with one hand, half reps on the other side. We can also do it front rack position, alternating lunges, half reps on one side, half reps on the other side. We can go into an overhead lunge if you're comfortable, nice and locked into that side position, half reps on one side, half reps on the other, or you can hold a goblet position. So if you're more comfortable loading a goblet lunge, that's totally fine by me. We have 50 reps, so it's not a small amount, but it's not a super huge amount either. So set yourself up, break them down if you need to, make sure we're keeping that clean movement pattern all the way through, and pick your kind of loading position wherever you'd like to load it. Just on one side note about loading it overhead, if you're going to load overhead, we need to make sure that this arm is locked out straight and in a good overhead position. If you have a soft elbow in this overhead position, I don't suggest loading or doing overhead lunges. I maybe suggest doing a front rack lunge to load the torso a little bit more and load the core, opposed to the overhead. We really only want to do overhead lunging if we can lock that arm out nice and strong. And if that's an issue, something and you'd like to go overhead, do it without a dumbbell. So you can hold your arm up overhead, keeping those ribs in. It'll give you a chance to work on the same position, just without load, but still make you create and fight for that straight locked out arm, just without load. So if you'd like to go overhead, check on that elbow position. If you still want to go overhead and it's bent, empty hand, working for that straight arm, and just to practice that position. So we always want to make sure we're really safe overhead and efficient. Now as a quick recap, one time through, run 400 meters, pushing that pace. Renegade Row, 20 alternating reps. Dumbbell snatch, 20 alternating reps, and 50 alternating lunges. Loading it, not loading it, whatever you want to take down today. One time through, it's a nice little sprint chipper. I hope you guys enjoy it a ton. Have fun with it, work for quality, and until tomorrow, have some fun today, all right? Enjoy, and we'll see you very soon. Bye, guys.